On the plains of the Serengeti, a wildebeest calf hits the ground and has roughly 2 minutes before predators start circling. 2 minutes to figure out its own legs. Within about 5 minutes, it's standing. Within an hour, it can outrun a hyena. Now picture a human newborn. 2 minutes after birth, it can't lift its own head. 5 minutes in, still can't. An hour in, still can't. It'll take about a year before it can even walk across a room without falling over. If evolution is supposed to make animals good at surviving, why would it build the smartest species on Earth with a brain this unfinished? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Your brain was born unfinished on purpose, because finishing it would have killed your mother. One widely discussed explanation for this comes down to simple geometry. Walking upright on two legs narrowed the human pelvis, but a fully done brain, wired anywhere close to a wildebeest's level, would need a skull too large to fit through that pelvis. So evolution found a workaround: ship the baby early before the brain finishes building, and let it keep constructing itself after birth, out in the world instead of inside the womb. Some researchers now think it's less about the pelvis and more about your mother's own metabolism running out of energy to keep building a fetal brain past a certain point. But either way, the conclusion is the same. Humans are born mid-construction, not finished. This is what scientists call being live-wired instead of pre-wired. Most animals show up with their instincts basically factory-installed. A wildebeest doesn't need to learn how to run from a lion, it's just born knowing. Your brain does the opposite. It shows up nearly blank, and then spends the next 2 decades wiring itself using whatever world it happens to land in. The language you hear, the culture around you, the specific dangers and rewards of your specific life. In the first 2 years alone, your brain produces neural connections at a rate it will genuinely never hit again. More synapses than it will ever need, all firing and connecting almost randomly. Then, slowly, the ones you actually use get reinforced, and the ones you don't get quietly deleted. This is why a 2-year-old can pick up literally any human language on Earth with no accent, no formal teaching, no effort, but a 50-year-old moving to a new country will fight for years just to lose their accent. The window for easy language wiring closes a little more every year. Here's how dramatic that construction really is. By around age 2 or 3, your brain has actually built more neural connections than it will ever have again, significantly more than it needs. Then for the next 2 decades, your brain does something almost brutal. It starts deleting the connections you don't use. Neuroscientists sometimes call this use it or lose it pruning. It's not a bug. It's how your brain decides which parts of itself are actually worth keeping, based entirely on the specific life you're living. But pruning isn't the only way your brain's construction deadlines show up. Sometimes the window doesn't just close slowly, it slams shut. And this window isn't just a language thing, and it can be permanent and physical. In the late 1950s and 60s, 2 researchers named David Hubel and Torsten Wiesel ran an experiment that would later win them a Nobel Prize. They temporarily sewed one eye shut on newborn kittens for just a few months, then reopened it. That eye was structurally perfect, nothing physically wrong with it. But the kitten was permanently, functionally blind in that eye anyway. Because the brain's wiring for vision has a construction window, and if that eye doesn't send signals during that specific window, the brain simply never builds the wiring for it. Human children with an uncorrected lazy eye or early childhood cataracts show the exact same pattern. Waiting too long to fix it means the brain never fully learns to use that eye, even once the physical problem is gone. Human history has its own, much sadder, version of this same critical period effect. In the 1970s, researchers discovered a teenage girl in California who had been kept in near total isolation from infancy, with almost no language exposure at all. Once she was found and given intensive language therapy, she was able to learn many individual words, but she never fully acquired grammar, the rule-based structure that lets you string words into complex sentences. Her window for that specific kind of wiring had already mostly closed before anyone got the chance to open it. Your brain isn't just unfinished, it's unfinished on a deadline, And some rooms in the house only get built if you show up with the right materials at the right time. This is also part of why early childhood gets so much attention from psychologists, not because your entire life is locked in by age 5, but because that's when some of the biggest, most expensive construction is happening, and the environment a child grows up in becomes part of the actual blueprint, which sounds like a design flaw: helpless for a year, vulnerable for 2 decades, missing your shot at some abilities forever if the timing's wrong. But this is also arguably the single biggest advantage your species has. A wildebeest calf that's ready to run in 5 minutes will always just be a wildebeest. Its brain is finished, which means it's also frozen, built for exactly one environment, one set of instincts, forever. Your brain, unfinished for 20-plus years, can wire itself for literally any environment on Earth. Arctic tundra, desert, city, jungle, any language, any culture, any set of rules, because it wasn't preloaded with answers. It was built to keep asking questions. So next time you feel behind, like everyone else somehow got the finished version and you're still figuring yours out, remember this: nobody gets the finished version. You were never supposed to arrive complete. You're not behind. You're still under construction the exact same way every single human who's ever lived was, at your age, and every age before it. That's the mind. Built slower than almost anything else in nature and probably better for it. That's Nousvera. If this kind of thing fascinates you, subscribe. We dig into one strange piece of the mind every week,